Real quick before the video starts, I have a new channel based around green tech stories on 4chan, and I'll be uploading videos daily over there. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to the channel in the description. Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named One Change in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I refuse to go to my sister's wedding after finding out only our side of the family were having to pay to attend." Obligatory, this is a throwaway account clarification. I am very active in a Dungeons & Dragons group that I do not particularly want tied to this situation. My younger sister Katie, a 28-year-old woman, and her partner Chris, a 29-year-old man, are getting married in April in Dubai. She has always wanted an extravagant wedding and is going all out on this. The wedding is happening over 4 days. There will be 70 guests, but they want us to stay in the same hotel with them, along with her bridesmaids and groomsmen. The hotel is very luxurious, so with flights included, it is costing us just over £2,900 each. Chris's family are also staying in the hotel, which includes his parents, his 2 brothers, and his nephew. They are well off. I do not know exactly how much they earn combined, but I know Katie earns $88,000 and she is the lower earner. About 6 months ago, Chris and Katie came to us asking to borrow $17,000 more. They stressed it would be a loan paid over time and said the venue had increased its price, Dubai law was different, and so on, claiming they needed to pay this money or lose everything. We believed them, and I offered to loan $7,000 while my parents contributed the other $10,000. Long story short, I have since found out through someone else that the $17,000 was not for the venue at all. It was to pay for Chris's family to fly over there. They had seen how much it was going to cost, did not want to pay, and refused to go. I asked Katie and she confirmed it. My first question was, if they were paying for his parents, why not pay for ours? I would never expect them to pay for me. Even if we could not afford it, I would have wished them well and stayed home. Her answer was, because they can afford it. She got very defensive and said this was the fairest way she could think of, that it was hard enough planning a wedding and so on. But when I asked why, if she genuinely thought this was the fairest way, she had lied about the $17,000 being for a venue issue. She could not answer. My parents are aware and are very disappointed they lied, but they have said they are still attending. I, however, have backed out. To me, it feels like my parents are being taken advantage of. And if Katie and Chris could not afford to pay for both our parents and Chris's parents, then they should have paid for no one at all. And they certainly should not have lied about it. Katie and Chris keep calling and asking me to attend, saying I'm making them feel bad and ruining their day. But the whole thing just feels unpleasant to me. I am genuinely an open book, so be brutal. Am I being unreasonable here? Should I just accept it and go? Edit, thank you so much everyone. I just wanted to answer a couple of questions and comments that have come up often. Regarding the repayment, my husband's brother is a solicitor and he kindly drew up a contract and repayment plan for both myself and my parents, so the money will be paid off within 12 months of the wedding. If they do not stick to this, I have access to a free solicitor. I hope it does not come to that, but that is why I have the papers for a worst case scenario. Asking for the $7,000 back. I might be a soft touch, but asking for this back feels like a step too far. I am mad as hell, but not enough to actively try to ruin their wedding a few weeks before it happens, which is what that would feel like right now at least. But hey, give me a few more days to stew. Edit 2, thanks again for all the feedback everyone. Just another quick note. A few people have asked about Chris's family or seem to have the impression they are well off. I am obviously not privy to their full financial situation, but from the limited amount I do know based on what Katie has said, Chris and his family grew up very poor. Before all this, I had always thought Chris was a lovely guy, but I had caught him in the odd but harmless white lie. Things like where he went to school, the type of house he grew up in, and so on. I get the impression he is embarrassed or resentful of his upbringing due to their lack of money, and that this is now how he measures his self-worth, by how much money he has. My guess is that when his family said they could not go, he panicked and worried people would ask why they were not there, and he would either have to say they could not afford it or that he could not afford to pay for them. And look, his past trauma and experiences are not for me to judge, but if that were the case, it just makes me more upset that they both did not plan ahead and talk to friends or family about what they could afford before booking Dubai. If it was such a deal breaker for his family to be there, they should have factored in the cost of paying for all parents to attend instead of thrusting a £3,000 per person bill at them and expecting them to simply show up. Update. I had a lot of messages at the time of posting asking for an update on what I decided to do, so I wanted to check in. In short, I did not end up going to the wedding. Katie and Chris basically harassed me constantly until a few days before they were due to fly out, when I received a belligerent voicemail from Katie. In it, she said that if I did not go, I was no longer her sister. I was embarrassing myself, her, and Chris. I was a horrible person, and most shockingly, that if I did not go, then she and Chris would not be paying me or my parents back for the money we had loaned them. In other words, she tried to blackmail me. She said she would claim it was a gift, alleged that I had faked the contract, and forced me to take her to court. She was clearly drunk at the time. The voicemail was left on the night of her at-home hen party, which I had also chosen not to attend, but it was still so far beyond anything I thought she was capable of. I ended up sharing the voicemail with my parents, and they also reluctantly pulled out of attending the wedding. I later heard through friends and family who attended that Katie and Chris had been telling people I had alienated her from her family, lied to our parents, given them money as a gift, and then expected them to pay for us, among other things, and that they had made the decision to officially uninvite my husband and me. Other more insulting things were said as well, which I do not particularly want to go into. Suffice it to say, they were very hurtful. As I mentioned in my original post, I had my brother-in-law, who is a solicitor, draw up a contract for repayment for both myself and my parents. The first agreed upon repayment date passed without any word from either Katie or Chris, so my brother-in-law took over from there. His attempts to reach them were ignored apart from one email, supposedly from a law firm, though I believe it was fake, claiming that the money had been a gift, the contract was fraudulent, and that we should take them to court. In response, my brother-in-law sent them a copy of the voicemail Katie had left me, along with a final demand stating that the payment plan was now null and void, and that we wanted the full amount repaid within 30 days or we would indeed be going to court. Magically, the full amount appeared in our accounts just 5 days later. Since the wedding, I have again heard through the grapevine that they have been telling anyone who would listen that we suddenly demanded our gift back out of the blue, that we disowned them, and that they are now in a very difficult financial position because of this. So that is that. I cannot see myself having a relationship with her after this, which is devastating, but at the same time, I now truly believe that is not my fault after everything that has happened. Thanks again to everyone who gave advice. I hope this update is enough for everyone who asked for one. Persimmon Basket said, imagine having the audacity to borrow money from a sibling to make yourself appear grander than you are by gifting someone else a trip to Dubai, then becoming upset when you are asked to give it back. And now they are complaining because they are in a difficult financial position. Oh, well, maybe you should not have shown off in the first place. I do not understand the fascination with Dubai. I bet most of the tourists there are all fur coats and no knickers. I feel sorry for OP because they have lost their sister, but given her behavior, it is a blessing in disguise. Play around and find out in its purest form. Spend your own money how you like and do not try to tell other people how to spend theirs. This second story was made in the relationship subreddit by a user named ClownFu. The post is titled, "Fiance not happy to find out I was a clown." Throwaway account, but this is such a specific situation that I am certain she will see it, though my friends will not. For some context, I am a pretty successful graphic designer. I was already working from home on many projects for a long time before everyone started self-quarantining and practicing social distancing. While I am definitely not part of the essential workforce, I have still managed to find some work to keep me busy. My fiancée has been furloughed from work, and as such, she has been staying home with me, and we have been spending a lot of quality time together. One night, we were having fun and joking around, and I jokingly said that everyone does weird things for money when they are in school, like starting an online shop or selling feet pictures. She joked back and fake accused me of selling drugs. I told her it was not anything illegal or illicit, nothing related to sex or drugs, but I accidentally let it slip that it was just embarrassing to me personally. After a second, she stopped laughing because it became real. We talked about it and I said I did not want to talk about it because it was super embarrassing and was not who I am at all. She said that she understood and gave me space about it for a couple of days. However, after those couple of days, she seemed uncomfortable, and when I asked her about it, she admitted she was concerned about what I had done for money. I told her it was not anything huge, I just really did not want to talk about it, and I wanted her to respect that and to trust me, but I could tell that her not knowing was beginning to genuinely upset her. That night I thought long and hard. This is the woman I want to marry, so I should be open about my past. I relented and told her the truth. I used to be a clown. She was unhappy that it was something I had hidden from her, but it was only a period of my life that lasted about 2.5 months and around 12 parties. She has been cold to me since, and it really sucks because we have been spending so much time together and now we are not talking as much as we were. From what I understand, she is probably more upset that I had to be pressed to tell her instead of admitting it of my own volition. I think I may have damaged her trust. Honestly, the clown thing just never came up because who talks about their part-time jobs from almost 5 years ago? It is not on my resume and it was before we started dating, but I did end up sitting down with her and telling her everything. Now I am so scared that was a mistake because of how she has been acting. She has not told anyone and we have not really argued either, but I am wondering if I am just overanalyzing her behavior and obsessing over this new piece of information I have put into her world. It feels like there is a new distance between us. Now, I was not hiding the fact that I was a semi-professional clown out of malice, but more out of embarrassment because it is far removed from the type of work I do and the person I am today. Honestly, it is not a dark period of my life or anything, and I think the story itself is interesting. I am one of those people who believe that some bad decisions can make good stories to a degree, but it is not something I like to talk about. While it is an objectively fun story, it does not have a particularly good ending. My act was very specific and weird. Only 2 or 3 friends know about it, I think, because they were at the party where I got the idea to perform as a clown for money, and I literally just used the same costume from that party for my ex. All things considered, I was pretty successful for what amounted to some weekend gigs. I did not want it to be something strange that would follow me for the rest of my life, so I was secretive about it for those couple of months. I was always paid in cash, never by check, and this was before electronic payments were huge, as in I did not have online payment apps like Venmo or PayPal. Surprisingly, I made a few $1,000s that I put towards some of the fun things I own, like game systems and an electric skateboard. I stopped performing when the terrifying clown hoax of the year 2016 happened, and I heard that people were planning to gang up on and attack clowns. I thought it was best to cash out and hang up the clown costume, so to speak. Also, because I know it will be asked, back in university, I was an athlete as well, kind of. I was part of a martial arts club where we would perform martial arts choreography at certain school events. It was somewhat like color guard, but with punching. When I told my fiancée this during our first few months of dating, she made fun of me relentlessly for days, but she ultimately thought it was kind of cool. Anyway, I incorporated that athleticism into my act where I would break boards and do some parkour, but I would also do traditional clown antics, like smacking myself in the face with whipped cream in a dollar store pie crust, speaking in a silly voice, and tripping over myself. It was fun because I was making little kids laugh and impressing them more than I was scaring them. Sometimes I would get a parent involved and have them steal my clown nose and run away. At first, I would trip and fall while chasing them, which would set up the parkour chase scene of my act after I gave them a head start. By the way, it is hard to convince big dads that yes, I will absolutely catch up to you, and much faster than you think. The kids loved the act, and I learned that I would generally get paid more if I involved the family, always with plenty of warning beforehand about what I was capable of doing. I never ever advertised this work. It was entirely word of mouth, and I believe all my clients knew each other in some way and knew me as essentially a friend of a friend. Update. Wow, so I was not expecting this to blow up as much as it did, or at all. I have spent a lot of my workday reading all the comments, replies, and tweets. My fiance and I sat down and talked about it. I told her about this post because I was genuinely concerned about what I should do in this situation, and I have a bad habit of making jokes about bad situations sometimes. But we had a civil discussion. She told me that the reason she was acting distant was because, like some of you said, she thought I was lying about the clown thing. The reason I was embarrassed about it is because I didn't fully commit to it. No matter how it is phrased, telling someone you were a party clown for 3 months either gets met with, wow, that's cool, or holy crap, what a lie. And she, like so many of you, went with the latter. So we talked about it like adults. I calmly explained that I was not lying and that the story is stupid and inconsequential, but the overall circumstance of being a clown from start to finish is unbelievable in a way. I got the idea of being a clown at a costume party when a former friend told a drunk me that he thought my costume was fun and that I should be a clown for his nephew's birthday party. I thought he was joking until he actually contacted me about it the next Saturday and said he would pay me $100 to $200 for the whole day. Being 21, that was a lot of money for being an idiot for a bit, so I did it, and then it just turned into a thing. I told her I stopped being a clown because I did not want it to become public knowledge, and it was around the time I kept seeing posts on social media about people planning to hunt clowns. Even if it was fake, the chance of it being real and happening to me was not something I wanted to risk. It was fun for a bit. If I had been a clown for half a year, I would probably tell more people about it, but doing it for such a short period makes it sound like a lie. If you need proof, just read half of the comments on this post. My fiance is not crazy or high maintenance. She's normal, a little wild sometimes, and kind of cooped up here, but I love her all the same. Anyway, she believes me now, which I am grateful for. I apologize for not telling her sooner, and she apologized for pressing me to talk about something so clearly weirdly polarizing. This was never so much a post asking you all to take sides like so many of you seem ready to do, but rather to ask for advice on how I could bridge the gap in our communication. She still seems to have some reservations, so I promised her that I would try to perform my act for her in the park when the quarantine is lifted. She asked me to do it for her now, but I told her our apartment is too small and filled with things that might break. I did talk to her in my clown voice, and she hated it. She said it in her words, "Sounds like Goofy on speed." Thank you, everyone. LSP4 Brad said, "Strange reactions all around." As one commenter said, he is acting as though he did something truly shameful. It sounds like there is a lot of mistrust at play here. To this user, Bane's Addiction said, "I tried to slow down and smell the flowers, but I was in with a bad crowd. The shoes kept getting bigger, but the cars were getting smaller every day. I could not remember the last time I went to sleep without a white face or woke up without a red nose. My lowest moment was when my girlfriend handed me a condom. Making that giraffe cost me everything that mattered. She ran out of the front door and I kept expecting her to come back in through the back door, but it never opened. That was a real pie in the face." This final story was made in the fence building subreddit by a user named Overcash. The post is titled, "My neighbor is upset that my new fence is too high off the ground." The fence is 2 inches off the ground at the far ends. Due to the ground not being level, it is 5 inches off the ground in some spots. My ground needs to be graded evenly. My neighbor claims my fence cannot be that high off the ground and wants me to do something about it. He has a fence right behind ours, which can be seen at the bottom of our fence. It is a short picket fence that goes all the way to the ground so that his dog does not escape or dig underneath. His fence does not provide the privacy that we wanted. He now wants to remove his fence since our new privacy fence is up, but he is complaining because if he removes his fence, his dog will become a problem. My fence is on our property, not his. Do I need to fix this? Is this my problem or his problem? Update. Thank you everyone for your input. It has been helpful. To answer a lot of common questions, there is no homeowners association. A permit is required by the town, followed by an inspection, and everything was done the right way. While it went against the guidance of some commenters, I went to the building department to see if the work had been done incorrectly. According to them, it was installed properly. Only because it has been asked many times will I answer this. They are young baby boomers or maybe older generation X. They are white. We are millennials. I am white and my wife is Asian. We live in a blue state, but our neighborhood can be very, very red. I let our neighbor know a couple of years ago that we wanted to put up a privacy fence, and I kept him in the loop throughout the whole process. I agree with many commenters that it is better to keep a friendly relationship with your neighbors. We have to live with each other, so we should be respectful. It makes for a peaceful life, and I would want the same courtesy from others. For example, I ask permission to cut branches from their trees that hang over our property and become a nuisance, even if I am not required to do so. It is simply the right thing to do. The neighbor offered to pull down his 4-foot fence and replace it with ours, provided we could all agree on a style. They offered to pay the difference in price between what we chose and what they decided. My wife's only requirement was that the fence be solid up to 6 feet for the privacy she wanted. We offered a few styles and colors we did not really want, but we would have been fine with them if it made everyone happy. They gave a hard no to all of the choices we presented. They wanted a 5-foot solid fence with 1 foot of lattice on top. It was nice, but it offered no privacy above 5 feet. My wife was insistent that we have privacy up to 6 feet, and they would not budge. We then offered a 6-foot solid fence with 1 foot of lattice on top, which would be more complicated because it would require a variance, but it was doable. The neighbors still gave a hard no. They insisted on partial privacy, while my wife's only requirement was full privacy. Long story short, we could not agree on a shared fence. The neighbor said to just put up our own fence to our liking on our property. He declined having any shared fence. After our fence went up, the neighbor inspected it and complained that it was too high off the ground and would be a problem for his dog once he removed his fence. He sent me a section of code for pools stating that there must be a 4-foot safety fence no more than 1 inch off the ground around the perimeter of the pool, and said our fence did not meet that requirement. However, this is not a pool safety fence, it is a privacy fence. We will install the pool safety fence when we put in the pool. The fence is higher off the ground now because it is level with the ends of the property. At some point, the yard will be graded and the fence will be uniform across the entire yard. Educational Tangelo said, "Why is the neighbor so determined not to let OP and his wife have privacy? Creep." To this, Deadpool said, "That really stood out to me too. It seems like OP's wife probably has a reason for being so insistent on full privacy, and I am wondering if she has had to deal with the neighbor peering over at her and leering." Cthulhu Almighty said, "You can easily tell in the comments who the children and non-property owners are, and who the adults and homeowners are. As much as I would love to tell my baby boomer neighbor to go away for everything he has done, I would make my life far worse by doing that. These older neighbors usually do not have much going on, and it is the highlight of their day, week, or month to bother you. My neighbor has called the fire department on me twice for having small outdoor fires in the fire pit. Each time, the fire department said they had received a call about a raging fire, only to find a very small and contained fire that was mostly glowing embers. Each time, I offered to put it out, and the firefighters told me it was not necessary. There are plenty more stories, like the time he called animal control on me for dogs that belonged to another neighbor, the time he accused me of breaking into his garage and stealing a shovel, or when he became angry that I did not call him when his generator ran out of gas while he was away being a snowbird, and I could go on. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, GamerSupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.